lands, past, present, and into the future. So it's with great pleasure that we have you today to tell you about our program, our launch of the CEDI Phase 3. CANDO and FCM co-designed and co-delivered this program. You can read more about our organizations on our website. Some of you might be already familiar with us, but just a short recap, CANDO's mandate is to support Indigenous communities to build capacity in economic development, and Federation of Canadian Municipalities' mandate is to bring together Canadian municipalities to speak with one voice to influence federal policies and programs for municipalities. And as I said, since 2013, CANDO and FCM have co-designed and co-delivered the CEDI program together across the country, and this is funded by Indigenous Services Canada. So we've learned a thing or two about working together as two unique and separate organizations, so we like to think that we walk the talk as well of First Nation municipal collaboration. And we share this with you because it's important that you know that we're practicing what we're asking your communities to do, to work together and to be stronger together. And we couldn't do this work if we weren't designing and delivering it together with a municipal lens and an Indigenous lens. So just what are we going to do here today with you? It's our webinar today to give you an overview of the CEDI program, and you're all here because you're interested in applying to this program, or you know somebody who is interested in applying to the program possibly. We're going to give you just a high-level overview. We've given you a lot of information in the application page, but we're going to highlight today a conversation with a wonderful past CEDI partnership from Alberta, and that's Dene First Nation and High Level, town of High Level, and we've got Chief Ahnassay and Mayor McAteer, who will tell you something about their experience in applying to and working with the CEDI program. Then we'll have some time for a question and answer to this fantastic CEDI partnership, so you can hear more from their experiences and ask them a few things. Then we'll focus on the application, and we'll do an application question and answer. And if we have enough English and French participants, we would do a breakout, but I think we only have, we won't be doing that today. Then we'll do just a summary and closing, so that you can just know that you can reach back out to us if anything you missed today, but we do have lots of information available to you online, and we'll just recap that. So just to start off with, what is the goal of the CEDI program? So the goal is to support communities in establishing resilient, sustainable relationships for the long term, and we do that by working with elected officials, senior administrators, land management, and economic development staff, and their broader communities. And our secondary goal is to work on increasing the capacities of these communities to engage in and develop long-term land use and community economic development plans and initiatives. And this is because there's two different jurisdictions for municipalities working with provinces and First Nations having a relationship with the Crown. It's really important that we work on together to build longer-term processes and build the capacity to work together, since it's not really it's not the norm, but we'd like to be the norm. So we work both on relationship and with processes to do so. There's a few we just want to there's a lot of benefits of working together, since both First Nation governments and municipal governments have the best interests of their communities at heart. So some of the benefits we're just going to recap here that we've seen over the years when we work together with First Nation governments and municipalities partnering include a stronger united voice for engaging both with businesses and other orders of government. Related to that, we also have seen that these partnerships have been able to access funding from other orders of government once they have planning processes and develop plans together, since there's funding that's available often for First Nations or for municipalities. And when we work together, there's also a chance to have more cost savings and be more efficient in program delivering if you're sharing a plan together. Next slide. is that when you have more collaboration and more opportunity to plan together for economic development, it really does create more opportunities for local businesses to develop and of course, increase the opportunities for job creation. And because a municipality and a First Nation may not have exactly the same financial, human, and physical resources, they can complement each other by leveraging their respective financial, human, and physical resources. So that's another benefit. And of course, coordinated planning efforts, especially at times when we're looking at wanting to improve land use and land management and look at environmental and resource issues, coordinated planning really helps us ensure that that's what we come up with when we're spending time working together and understanding each other's processes and responsibilities. I'll pass over to Marissa to give you the next, tell you more about our Stronger Together approach that we use in our partnerships.
Thanks, Helen. So CEDI uses a four-stage Stronger Together approach. And so I often say, while this process is laid out as a linear process, it is definitely not. It's much more cyclical than this. It's, I would say that during the course of your time participating in CEDI or using the Stronger Together model to engage with your First Nation or municipal partner, you're going to bounce between these stages. And I think that's really important to know, that this work is not linear. And I think most of us do know this wherever we're at in that journey with our partner communities. And so I'll just speak briefly about each one of these stages, and then I'll go on to tell a little bit more about what we offer through the program. But stage A, or connect, this is really where you're starting to come together, you're starting to learn with each other, you're starting to build that stronger relationship, and you're beginning to formally commit to a partnership that is based on shared values and priorities. Stage B is really where you're continuing that ongoing shared learning, you're identifying a shared vision, and you're possibly formally committing through some kind of a partnership agreement or some kind of an agreement about how your councils or how your communities want to be working together. Stage C, decide, is really about defining and deciding, based on your shared vision, based on your shared priorities, what is the joint community economic development initiative or initiatives that you want to prioritize and work on. And we always say, there's so many things that you can collaborate on as two communities or multiple communities, but we need to start somewhere. And so where can we start where there can be shared success and shared benefit? Also at this stage, you're going to start to develop a strategic plan or a work plan. You're starting to set up a governance structure to really manage these initiatives in an ongoing way. And then finally, stage D is really the opportunity to work together to implement, put the sort of proof in the pudding, to put the practice that relationship. And that's often how we talk about those two program goals that Helen shared earlier. We have to build the relationship, but we have to practice it through implementation, through acting, and through co-delivering on these joint community economic development initiatives. So CEDI offers sort of three main focuses of what we offer if you were to be a select partnership to participate in the CEDI program. We're really here, the CEDI team, to provide that third-party neutral support. And that comes in a multitude of ways. Over the number of years that you're participating in the program, we're really here to guide the partnership through that Stronger Together process, offer that third-party perspective, facilitation, and process design. But we're also here for those confidential conversations and for those collaborative processes and dialogue. And so I would say this is the biggest component that we sort of bring to or offer to the partnerships who are participating. So ongoing facilitation and process support through facilitating monthly working group meetings, which are, as you'll hear from Mayor McAteer and Chief Ahnassay, are somewhat mandatory in the CEDI program. We promote shared learning and facilitate relationship building activities. We facilitate collaborative planning practices, so that might look like joint strategic and work plans. And we integrate a lot of WISE practices. We've been so incredibly fortunate to learn with and from all of the partnerships that we've worked with since 2013. And so a lot of those WISE practices are what we bring forward to every new partnership we work with. our workshops are really customized. Again, this is not one set process that works for all. Every single community, every single partnership, and I would even dare to say in every single sort of season of life looks different and needs different things. And so what we do provide, though, is biannual SETI workshops that include both elected officials and senior staff from both communities. Obviously, ideally, we do that in person, and for the most part, we're hoping to return to that. But we've also seen some incredible resilience of our partnerships to make sure that we can continue that work online. So we're committed to that no matter where this pandemic goes over the next few months. Again, that third-party facilitation and inclusive process design, this is not done in a silo. This is not done behind a screen in our desks. This is something done very much with the working group, with the partnership. And again, workshop objectives will vary greatly, but will often include relationship building, shared learning, joint visioning, and strategic planning. And lastly, we come with some modest resources, but often an opportunity for your partnership to really practice co-managing joint funds for the purpose of a joint community economic development initiative. So we offer a capacity development grant or capacity development funds it must be jointly accessed by the partner communities. So we can share more about that at a later date, but this is really accessed again to increase the capacity of the partnership and advance that joint community economic development initiative. So you may have, if you've interacted with our intake materials or you've visited the website and you know a little bit about what we're offering in phase 3, you'll know that we're offering 2 program streams. And we're doing that because we're trying our best to meet the needs, again, those diverse needs of every partnership. So we're offering sort of the standard program stream, which is a 3-year, and what we're calling as an accelerated program stream, which would be a 2-year. And I invite you, when you're looking at this and you're identifying which one of those streams would work best for your partnership, I really invite you not to think about the differences in the streams. The time commitment is exactly the same, it's just the duration that differs. So instead, I really invite you to think about where is our partnership at? If we're starting from a sort of ground zero, or we're just getting started, or we don't yet have a formal relationship, the full standard program stream is the way to go. And alternatively, if you have some level of an established relationship, but that you could use some support to have some continued growth, that third-party facilitation could be really helpful. And maybe you have an idea of what you could collaborate on, but you need a little bit of support to get that off the ground. Then the 2-year stream might be a better fit for your partnership. But again, if you have any questions through this application process specific to your partnership and you want to ask us, what do you think, the 2 or the 3-year, feel free to reach out to our CEDI team. We would be really happy to advise you on that. So now, as the very true to CEDI, rather than us talking about what the program is, we'd rather hear from the partners who actually participated in the program. And so I am so pleased to have Chief James Ahnassay from Dene First Nation and Mayor Crystal McAteer from the town of High Level here with us this morning. It has been my great privilege to work with this partnership over the course of 3 years that they had with the CEDI program. So since 2008, Dene First Nation and the town of High Level remained really sincerely committed to their partnership, their shared initiatives, and the CEDI program. Even through regional wildfires and evacuations in 2019 and the ongoing challenges of the pandemic, this partnership accomplished a lot. And so I want to give you a little overview of what they accomplished, because I think they might be too humble to share all of these details with you here today. They really maintained a committed joint working group, which was governed by working group terms of reference. They also oversaw 3 separate subcommittees, which they had identified the need for and built, really utilizing subject matter expertise that existed within their own staff and councils. Each one of those subcommittees looked after one of the 3 joint community economic development initiatives. So over the course of the time, they worked on waterline connection between Bushy River and the town of High Level. And they've completed a feasibility study looking at the opportunity for wastewater infrastructure on the Bushy River Reserve that would help to service the needs within the region. They worked on the design of a multi-use center. So this would be both a dual purpose center, both for recreation purpose, but also for an evacuation center for the region. And they worked very hard, somewhat in response to the wildfires in 2019, worked very hard to develop a joint emergency regional plan. And so that is ongoing, but there has been some incredible work done to date and incredible collaboration between the communities. I'm sure Chief James will speak to this, but Dene has three communities, Meander River, Chate, and Bushy River, and that joint regional emergency plan encompassed, of course, all of those three community needs, which are quite regionally separated from the town of High Level. They've drafted a friendship agreement and created a shared logo. They attended 5 joint workshops over the course of the 3 years and engaged in some shared learning through Indigenous corporate training. They drafted a 5-year joint strategic plan, which I understand is still in motion. So with that, we're going to turn it over. I'm going to ask some questions to Mayor McAteer and Chief James Ahnassay. But before I do that, maybe I would ask Chief James if you could please introduce yourself in the way that you would like to, and then to Mayor McAteer to do the same.
Good morning, everyone. My name is James Ahnassay. I'm the Chief of Dene First Nation. We're situated in the northwestern Alberta area. And the town of High Level is actually well within the Dene traditional territory. And in that area, present day, we have 7 reserves, 4 of which are truly reserved, I should say. And 3 of the 7, we have communities in. And we have Chate, we're the largest population, and then Meander River to the northwest of High Level. And right border to border is Bushy River. And that's a really good I guess a point for us to be in a partnership, in the sense that we are actually neighbors, border to border. And that's how we became partnerships in this CEDI program. The last council, which sat up to 2017, actually initiated the process with the CEDI discussions of introduction. They didn't quite get to the point of getting started, but when we came in 2017, we got reintroduced to us with a new council, and we started rolling. And by 2018, we were rolling ahead full steam. And 3 years later, we completed the CEDI program, and we did a lot of work, like Marissa indicated. So hopefully we can explain some of our experiences as a question are being asked to us. So thank you for having me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal McAteer, and I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous people of Treaty 8 and the Métis settlements of Alberta. I respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, whose presence continue to enrich the community of High Level. I am a proud Métis woman, and I came to High Level as a teacher back way long ago, like 40 years ago. And I taught a lot of First Nations children, and it made it my goal to become a partner or a friend of all First Nations people, and to let them know that High Level was an open place. And we've worked really hard for the past 17 years to to become friends. And I am so proud to call the chief my friend now, and we can call one another and text one another, and it's a really great relationship, and I'm really enjoying it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you. I think we started to discuss this a little bit, but I think it would be helpful for the participants here today to hear a little bit about, as you said, Chief Ahnassay, 2017 is when you came on board and you'd been formally accepted to the program, but we actually didn't kick off working with you until the summer of 2018. And I know Mayor McAteer, you have some other experiences of applying for the program, maybe a couple times. So if you could each please tell us a little bit from your perspective about the state of the relationship before participating in CEDI and why you decided to apply to CEDI. So maybe Mayor McAteer, you want to start us off and we can go to Chief afterwards.
Okay, I entered municipal politics 17 years ago, and with a goal to have a working relationship with our First Nation partner, especially the Dene, because they're right on our border. And we're right on their border in their traditional territory. But our relationship had always been kind of cordial. But in the past, any projects were limited. We did have a fire agreement with the community of Bushy and a mutual aid agreement with Meander and Chate. In 2014, the government of Alberta wanted to amalgamate the two housing boards, and our housing boards look after the seniors' residents as well as the social housing, etc. And so they wanted to amalgamate us with Mackenzie County, their housing board, on which I was a member of high-level housing. And through our negotiations, we knew that the partnership was going to be shaky. So our hill to die on, I guess to say, was that each of the First Nations in this territory in Northwestern Alberta was given a seat at that housing board. And finally, the government allowed us to do that. And so I guess then began our very first really working together as equal partners on the board of Boreal Housing. And then in 2017, the town had the opportunity to tie in through the UNDRIP program, the water, in which the chief and I both have sat at the table for a few times, and it wasn't always the best situations. And I felt that that the town of High Level had kind of pushed the First Nations aside, and I wasn't good with that. So when this opportunity came up, I said, well, let's do a joint project with our administration. But it was through CEDI and CANDO that we really were able to get it going. And so I'm really happy about that. And yes, we did apply numerous, well, I shouldn't say numerous, but 2 times. And for those very reasons, for those people listening, we were not accepted the first time because CEDI and CANDO felt that we were so far apart in our relationships that we probably wouldn't have a good working partnership. But then as time progressed, we applied again. And I'm happy to say, never give up, because we were given that opportunity when different councillors came to our board and saw that the partnership was going to be a good one.
Thank you. Over to you, Chief Ahnassay.
So prior to 2018 or 2017, as a Dene First Nation, we carried on with things that we normally did, and we also have a corporation that we revamped back in 2007, and with a new business plan, as we move forward, we also purchased some property within the town of High Level. Altogether, we have 4 plexes, 7 houses that we built in cooperation with the Fort Middle School Division for teachers to rent from, I guess, staff housing. And we also purchased the old High Level trailer park, which slowly, eventually we cleaned it up, and it's sitting vacant with the hopes of turning into some viable business like affordable housing or something like that. So that's what we did prior to entering to CEDI. Of course, we have, like the mayor indicated, cordial relationships, like our people go to the town and do a lot of businesses there, like grocery shopping, other purchases, and so on and so forth, and the mutual fire agreements. And one of the things that we did too was back from 1990s, we had been in discussions off and on about water and wastewater, but nothing really came to fruition until after we actually started the CEDI program, and both the town and us through the federal government and the town through the provincial government, we were able to get some funding commitments where the water line has been actually built, and now we are doing from our side of things, building a water line with a fill station and so on and so forth. And of course, we also completed the feasibility study, and with that, we'll be moving forward. That if the wastewater, the way it is described, is feasible, then the next stages will be designed and built the following year. So that's where we are today, and I find entering into this CEDI program to be very useful because it allows the two groups to actually sit face to face and go through a number of meetings, get to know each other, learn how the town is working, and then they also learn in turn how we work as a First Nation. And that becomes very useful because you can actually tag team on certain things like the mayor indicated, the multi-purpose building, which will be used for recreation predominantly, and also the school use for the same. But in case of natural disasters, we have a place that we can call or a place to go to for facilitating evacuees and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chief Ahnassay, I think you spoke beautifully. Even just my next question was to ask you somewhat along those lines around the areas of growth, and I think you spoke to that beautifully. So I think we'll move on and we'll talk about the working group, because that was a place that a lot of work got done in your partnership. And so as I had mentioned earlier, the dedicated working group is a key component and really a wise practice that CEDI really implements and asks for. Now, working groups, we always ask for at minimum 1 elected official and 2 staff. And in the case of Dene and Town of High Level, both Chief Ahnassay and Mayor McAteer decided to sit on the working group, along with each had 1 or 2 councillors that attended that table as well, along with other senior staff. And so maybe I'll ask Mayor McAteer if you could speak to that first, and then if Chief Ahnassay, if you want to add anything. But given that you're both dedicated working group champions, what were the benefits of meeting regularly in that format? So if you can speak to that, I think that would be really helpful for folks to hear.
So the working groups and we met on a monthly basis, and Marissa will tell you that it was pretty difficult to get us together sometimes. as we had a lot happening with the fires of 2018, as well as the pandemic and Zoom and you name it. But we persevered and we did meet on a monthly basis. We chose a date, which was the first Wednesday of the month. And through those working groups, I really believe that we developed a great relationship, because we had experts. And when you say working together, like two brains are better than one. So we had our administration and the Dene administration at the table as well. And we broke into our subcommittees and they worked so well together. And we've never worked with each other's administration before. And as resources get scarcer and scarcer, and I mean people resources, I think this is an excellent partnership in that we can look at projects together, we can look at procurement together, and we can count on each other to support projects that we're doing separately. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to do every project together, but we are here now when the Dene need us for support letters or administrative support or anything like that. And I know that we can also count on them when we're out there as well. And we have the political lobbying tactics to draft correspondence to our various governments. We speak of the multi-purpose center. And so that's a huge cost, like it's a $99 million project. So we are constantly going to our provincial government asking for funds. It's on their radar, but they're kind of waiting to see what the federal government to do. And Chief Ahnassay has gone to the federal government with asked to a grant for 55 million, where we're partners on. So together, like you say, together we're stronger as a voice, and it makes a difference at different levels of the government. So and our subcommittees have been very successful with our water line. It makes my heart happy to see that water line finally built, and we will support the Dene in any way that we can to get the water the rest of the way to all their residents. And of course, when you have water, you have to have wastewater too. So another great project that we can both collaborate on. So yeah, but I think trust must be earned, and I know that it's been broken. And with the Dene, I know just from being here for 40 years that there's been a lot of hurt in our community and a lot of mistrust between us. And now I can freely say that, a lot of people that I meet from the different communities, Chate, Bushy, Meander, we have a mutual respect for one another and we can talk about things. So yeah, barriers have to be broken, and it begins with relationship building. Sorry, they need to be broken down, not broken.
Thank you, Mayor McAteer. Chief Ahnassay, would you like to add anything about how the working group helped to build and support your partnership over the long term?
Well, before I go there, I also wanted to share that at the beginning of the discussions, within our own council, we grappled with the idea that in the bigger picture of things, when it comes to the federal government, the provincial government, we always suspect that perhaps there's something going on, in the sense that the federal government wants us to move more towards like municipality type governing system, maybe even transferring services to the province, that kind of things, right? And when we look at the way the CEDI program is actually in depth, what its intended purpose is, there is really no worries after that point of learning more of the intent. And we will remain the First Nation autonomous as a First Nation, and our relationship continues with the federal government. And of course, we keep open to working with whether it's the provincial government or the municipalities in the area, where there's mutual benefits involved, and the same with the industry on the traditional territories. And as a matter of fact, even when you own a corporation, it doesn't stop you from looking at the whole of Canada, or even the whole of the world, if you want to go that far, because some of the corporations that we know are established worldwide. So in that sense, we felt that having a partnership with the town under the CEDI program to develop a local kind of cooperation and getting to know each other is a very safe thing to do, and also beneficial because, like I said earlier, we get to know each other, personally, face-to-face meetings, and have frank discussions on, what we could do and how we can carry things out. So in that sense, looking back, from the beginning to now, I don't have any regrets in entering to this CEDI partnership process with the town of High Level. Matter of fact, like I said, the biggest benefit that we derive from there is that finally we have clean water, coming to the community. It's still in the works of, connecting to the some core area for businesses and also for homes. But that's one of the big benefits that we derive from right at the beginning. And of course, the wastewater is also coming into play. And matter of fact, we may be moving forward, perhaps just for the Dene First Nation at the beginning. I mean, for now with the wastewater, with the openness to bring in the town of High Level at some point when the province is willing to provide the funding to do what we want to do on their side of things. So those are kind of an ongoing collaboration that we're working on. And some of the discussion also includes, as part of the working group, ideas about how we can cooperate together within the area, even within the town, because we have lands that we own. So in fact, for the town of High Level, we are also can be considered taxpayers too, because we pay the property tax. And also in the region, there's opportunities for tourism, that we can tap into, and we have discussed those things quite at length. And there's still opportunities to grow in that area too. So that's the addition that I want to provide, in addition to what the mayor indicated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Ahnassay. I will say, that's such an incredible component that I think both of you spoke to directly and alluded to, is that ongoing shared learning. And so learning about each other's jurisdiction, governance models, all of that, I think, really was an ongoing commitment through your community's participation in CEDI. And I think, it's one of those ways that trust is built and rebuilt. And that was, I just want to really note that was a real sincere commitment of your partnership. And I think it served your communities really well. So with the interest of time and really wanting to give folks a chance to ask you questions, to ask the CEDI team questions, I'm going to ask that Chief Ahnassay and Mayor McAteer, I'll ask you to briefly, sort of in summary, from your own experience, just, to share any advice or words of wisdom that you would offer to communities who are thinking about applying. And I would assume most people who are here today are thinking about applying. So I think it's really relevant to all the participants. So maybe Chief Ahnassay, you could start. Any advice or words of wisdom?
Well, one of the key part about this is that when you get the introductory documentations, what this program is about, you have an opportunity with your own nation to, chief and council to have a discussion about, what it could mean. And then there's also an opportunity to have discussions with CEDI and also the potential partners too. So in that sense, everything's kind of really open upfront. And once you decide, you can get the work started. The built-in relationship part of much with much importance, and also could be very fun too, because we do have some interactions happening at the workshops that we have. The one thing that we were short of in some respects is that because we were hit with the natural disasters in a row, the big fire, the Chuckake fire, and also the pandemic following after that, was our ability to be able to bring our sessions to the communities that we have. We really plan things out so that we can have sessions in our community just for our community members to know more, not only from us as chief and council, but also from the municipal government in terms of what their expectations and mission would be in terms of a partnership. So moving forward, depends on I suppose the next governance team that will be coming in, which is going to happen very shortly with us because we have an election due pretty soon. And our hope is that the new team will sit down with the town of high-level council, mayor and council, and bring each other up to speed in terms of where things are at with the friendship agreement, and carry on from there. As I indicated at the beginning, it was brought to us when we came in as a new council back in 2017. The introduction included that there was some discussions already taking place with the town and also with CEDI, and we liked the idea, so we carried on with it and became successful partnership process. And so it's worthwhile altogether, just take your time to, really ask lots of questions up front, and if it meets your, what you expect, and just go for it. And I can say that you're going to enjoy it. Thank you.
So, sorry. This was one of the deciding factors for me running for mayor again. And I was acclaimed, so I will keep realizing it, was our partnership with the Dene. To if we get a new council, to be able to be there and explain, what we have gone through. And the fact that Marissa and Helen were such great facilitators. And Marissa was a real taskmaster, and she made us, even times when we didn't, we're like, okay, well, we won't have a meeting. She made us have a meeting. So I really appreciate that. And I really do believe you need a facilitator. And it really made us look inside ourselves and see what we actually knew about the Dene governance and culture. And I pride myself on knowing quite a bit about First Nations, but there was so much that I did not know. And it has made me just respect everything so much more. And once we sign that friendship agreement, it's probably going to be the proudest moment of my political life. And I hope that we can continue this partnership well into the future. And I want to be able to express that to the new council, because we're both focused on the same things: economic development, youth retention, health retention. So, working together, we can work so much better. And I've even discussed, and I don't like this term urban reserve, I like economic development reserve. If chief and council came to the town of High Level in making that huge property that they bought in the town of High Level, if that's their wish to develop it into something like that, the town would be amicable to it. So all these things can be done in the future, and just being able to sit at the table, well, we haven't sat at the table very much, but just being able to sit and talk to our partners has been great. I'm not a phone person or a texting person. I like to talk. So yeah, I can't say enough about this program for people that are thinking of enjoying it. It's an excellent program. So thank you very much for letting us speak today.
Thank you both. Heartfelt thank you from the SETI team, from CANDO and FCM, your generosity of time. I know you're in and out of meetings and all kinds of other commitments. So really, really grateful for the time that both of you have shared today. I think what I'm going to do is do a really brief summary of the final slides, just a quick review of the application information. Then we're going to take some questions that will be specifically for Chief Ahnassay and Mayor McAteer. And then if you're able to stay past the top of the hour, the SETI team will stay online and happy to answer any program specific questions, or you can reach us via email. So let me just quickly share those last few slides, and then we'll take some questions. So feel free to get your questions ready as I'm just reviewing these last few slides. So I just wanted to, this information of course is all available at edo.ca/SETI phase 3 intake. And this is really no new information here, but just a reiteration. To download First Step application information sheet, it has all the information you could need for the application process. Download and review the application questions before you actually fill out your online survey. As most of you will know, there's 3 parts of the application. One for the joint, for the 2 applicants, First Nation municipalities to jointly complete, one for the First Nation and one for the municipality. And just a reminder that, of course, all applications need to be submitted by October 22nd, 11:59 p.m. MT. So just another quick overview of more information on SETI that's available. We have our Stronger Together toolkit. We have our community profiles. We have our wise practice tools and resources, many out there, work that we've built through much collaboration. And of course, videos. If you're one of those people or you want to share videos with any members of your council or staff who you want to give an insight into what SETI is about, I invite you to look at the community profiles of either the Treaty 20 Greater Peterborough or the Enoch Cree Nation City of Edmonton profile. They each have created really incredible videos, and they were just in our latest phase of the SETI program. With that, you can reach us at any time. We're really quick to respond, SETI@edo.ca. So with that, I will just reiterate and thank you, Paul. I saw that you put that out there. Paul's going to be really quick, our comms director at CANDO. He's going to be really quick to get the recording of this session, both in English and French, up on that same page today, later today. So feel free to share that with anybody who may be interested or missed this session. So if there's any questions, what I will ask is, we'd like to actually hear from you. And so I already see someone with a hand up, which is awesome. And that's what I'll ask you to do. It's just to raise your hand. So MJ, I know that you were going to just quickly translate that for any folks who are here. And please feel free to ask your question in French or English. We can take them either way. And again, just please direct your question at this point to Chief Ahnassay or Mayor McAteer while we have them for the next few minutes. So with that, Tina, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm in the district of Muskoka, which is about 2 hours north of Toronto. We're an upper tier municipality and we have 6 lower tier municipalities. And we have 8 Indigenous nations, and together we have created what we call the Muskoka Area Indigenous Leadership Table. We have varying participation from the Indigenous nations, sometimes because of location, or sometimes, mostly it's because of location. Some Indigenous nations are quite far away from us, some are quite close. My question is, if we were to apply, how would you recommend that we apply as the upper tier municipality only, because the lower tiers, the 6 lower tiers are very involved in the process, and I wouldn't want them to be involved, but would that overly complicate the process?
Marissa, I think that's more of a Marissa question.
I think it might be. And Helen, I'm thinking of the Treaty 20 Peterborough, which you worked more closely on. So why don't you answer that question?
Happy to. That was a partnership where there were 6 partners at the table, and 2 municipalities, 2 First Nations, and a county, and an economic development corporation. And it did work out well. It was challenging to be such a large group. So I would suggest you consider what for you is manageable in terms of participation and collaboration at your level. So I guess the question would be, what's the best representative governance structure you think would work in your region, given the numbers? And because it does require a lot of participation, sometimes smaller organizations struggle to get to the table and be part of it. So I guess it's just a consideration on your end. You'd have to evaluate yourselves what the level of capacity to participate. Because as you heard from Chief Ahnassay and Mayor McAteer, there's a lot of commitment to meeting times and being involved. So I'd say have a good look at what the capacity to participate is.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tina. Carolyn, over to you.
Hi, good morning from City of Abbotsford in BC. Hello, CEDI friends. Nice to see you online. I have a question coming from a municipality that may not be ready for the intake on CEDI this time, but we would love to continue to learn from your experiences, especially the stories that were shared today are really useful and valuable for us. So thanks for putting this together. I'm just wondering, and maybe I think I can ask for something for free because I used to work for FCM, but what kind of resources do you have available for municipalities to use right now without being part of the program? And I'm thinking maybe even just setting up meetings, or just kind of those initial partnership stages, which aren't really formal, but we're still doing things together.
They have a wonderful toolbox that can be used. Yeah, if you go online to CEDI and look up the toolbox, we have taken a lot of our information from those to continue on with and of course they graciously gave us a lot of the documents that they use to take us through the process. So yeah, that's where I get a lot of my information from now that they've cut the apron strings and put us on our own.
Thank you, Mayor McAteer. And Carolyn, I would just add, we do have a specific tool that is exactly for the sort of creation and maintenance of a joint working group. So there is a tool that specifically speaks to that. That's available on both FCM and Can Do CEDI web pages. There's a number of other tools which, Helen, maybe there's a follow-up we can do as well, just to sort of highlight and speak to some of those. But you should be able to find those tools quite easily on both of those web pages. Thank you for your question. And I'm cautious we have a few minutes and a couple of questions that came in through chat. So the first one, does the application process require any council resolutions before the deadlines or afterward? Is there a shortlisting stage as well? So yes, as we mentioned on the information sheet, long story short, of course, there's a joint application sort of component of the application. But we don't actually ask for council resolutions until we have delivered workshop 1. And so yes, we need to see proof that there is a recognition and understanding from both councils that there is commitment to this process. There will be many questions like that. If you are selected for interviews, there will be many questions having to do with council commitment and elected leadership commitment. But we don't actually ask for the council resolution until you are accepted into the program. That being said, it's never a bad idea to ask for council resolutions as part of your application to feel really secure and safe that this is in fact a commitment that both of your councils have. You couldn't really go wrong with asking for those resolutions. So not required for the application, but definitely of benefit.
before, I'm speaking Mayor McAteer, before we went through this process, I did approach my council and ask, are you in for this? And all of council was, so we didn't have a resolution, but I did have an understanding from council that they were willing to go through the process if we were selected.
Thank you, Mayor McAteer. And the second part of that question, which is the shortlisting stage, yes. So again, also on the information sheet, in one of the final sections of that document, you'll see the key dates of when we have said that we will receive the applications by the 22nd. And I don't recall the dates off the top of my head, but all the dates are in that document of when we will advise if there is a first round of interviews, if you've been selected for an interview, if there will be a second interview, and then when we will sort of be identifying if you are in fact a accepted partnership for this phase of CEDI. So just really quickly, I want to address this next question. Skonan First Nation is surrounded by a number of municipalities. What are the rules on who we partner with? No real rules. That's really for you to decide who the right partner is for you. Some of our past partnerships have been actually quite regionally separated from one another. However, there is shared opportunity and interest specifically around economic development. And so you don't always have to share that border exactly. There might be different ways of being in partnership. And so again, we really want for you to define that. But Robert, if you'd like to follow up and actually give us a little, more context, we might be able to support you a little bit better to help to inform how you might move forward. And the next question is, will there be any future phases of CEDI? It's always our hope. We're always looking for a more long-term sustainable funding mechanism to keep CEDI moving and running. 8 partnerships for this phase is not enough. We know that. We know that the demand is much higher than 8 positions. So yes, Jacqueline, that is something we are constantly working on, FCM and CANDO, to try and find a more long-term solution to ensure that we can work with more communities. So yes, if now is not the right time, we really hope that we'll be back at it in years to come, taking on another set of partnerships. So we're just past the hour. Again, I want to really recognize, I know Chief Ahnassay stepped out of meetings to be with us today, and I know probably other folks have other things going on as well. So Helen, any sort of closing words? We're free to stay on as the CEDI team, so please feel free to stay if you have specific questions to us. But before I hand it over, just again, my sincere thanks to Mayor McAteer and Chief Ahnassay. We may have pulled the apron strings, but you're always part of the CEDI family, and we'll be in touch soon again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and it would be a shame if the funding was never there in the future, because it is an excellent program. And I would write a letter to that. So thank you everybody for listening, and have a great day. And Marissa and Helen, we miss you, but we see you often. It's kind of like, what would Marissa do? So thank you for being such great facility.
I would also like to say thank you for inviting me to take part in this session. It's an important session, and I'd like to wish the municipalities of the First Nations that are going to be taking on the partnership process next. So all the best and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Ahnassay.
Thank you very much. And just and all the best, and we wish you a great success in your partnership. You're now part of the CEDI mentorship family. So.
Well, thank you, and I'm off to a meeting too, so sorry I can't stay.
Okay, bye all.
Bye. I'll just bring your attention, everybody else who's staying on the line, to just a note that Pascal put in the chat, and some of you have expressed whether you're not quite ready yet to apply. So please let us know that if you're interested in this program in the future, because that will also help us make the case for future funding. And we do, as expressed here, know that there's a high demand, and we don't want to leave anybody behind. And I will say that the application process itself is a very good exercise, because it gets you thinking and talking together in your communities about partnership. And as you heard from Mayor McAteer, they applied for first round, and that was a great and important step, and then came through in the second round of their application phase 2. So encourage you to follow up with us with any specific questions. We've tried to give you all the information you need, but if you have any more questions, please do follow up. And again, let us know if you are interested but are unable to apply at this time. We'll keep track of that. Back over to you, Marissa. Thank you. Et pour tous nos amis francophones, n'hésite pas d'envoyer vos questions en français. On va répondre à toutes vos questions. Merci.
Great. So we'll just hang out here again. If anybody has any further questions, we will stay and be available. So feel free to submit a question in chat or to raise your hand. Marcia, I see you have a raised hand. Please go ahead.
Hi there. I work for the City of Aurelia, and we have a very close partnership with the Chippewas of Rama First Nations. For many years, we have worked together collaboratively on a project, and this project is between City of Aurelia, the Township of Ramera, and then Chippewas of Rama First Nation. We have been working on this particular project for 20 years. The gist of it is we are looking to build a bridge that would cross over the Atherley Narrows. The Atherley Narrows is also home to the National Historic Site of the Atherley Weirs, which nobody can see or look at because it's in the middle of the lake, ultimately. So this project proposes building a connecting bridge that starts to connect the Chippewas of Rama First Nations to the City of Aurelia. It's a pedestrian bridge that would go over the Narrows. It would also provide a sacred space along with it. So it is a very large project, and we have together worked very well with First Nations. And we've got great partnerships in place. Everybody is supportive of this. We just aren't able to get funding. This is probably looking like a $30 million bridge now as things evolve. I'm guessing this is not the right forum for us to be investigating whether there would be some funding or really any support in terms of moving a project of this magnitude forward. We have written multiple grants that get kind of halted at the provincial level. We were hoping to get in to the federal level at some point, but it just keep hitting barriers. So I thought I would tune in. I was hopeful that someone from Chippewas of Rama First Nations could join us. Unfortunately, the timing didn't work. So I just said I'd come on here. I'd just like to know your opinion on this.
Helen, do you want to speak to it?
Sure. Well, congratulations, because it sounds like a fantastic project, and it sounds like you've taken it very far if you're ready at the funding stage. We did have a partnership in BC, the Shuswap Indian Band and the County of Invermere, who did work on a similar project of a bridge over the Columbia River for active transit. So they used our program to get. They didn't have a joint plan or a project feasibility study, so they used our program to get to that stage, and they were able to leverage some provincial funds along the way. And now they're looking for funding as well. But they're looking at the provincial level. So just to say that our program really, it isn't a funding for infrastructure projects or initiatives, but we do help partners get to that stage where they can do a feasibility study and plan together and put all in place all the joint joint processes for both projects which are part of a longer term planning process. So I congratulate you, and I wish you success finding federal funding, because I think that's probably where you might best find those kind of resources. Yeah, and if there's anything else we can provide it from tools on moving forward, if there's, I know that we sometimes an application is reinforced by having an MOU or a relationship accord, and we have those sorts of templates and tools on in our toolkit and website. And also, if there's anything as follow up we can chat on with you, please let us know. But it sounds like you've really reached that level of joint project planning. So I congratulate you for that work.
Well, thank you. This was a very informative. I didn't even know this existed, and I think for any future things that we come across, I would be interested in looking into some of the different resources that you utilize. And I just wanted to do a little shout out here to Tina Kilborn from Muskoka. I wouldn't mind chatting with you about what you guys are doing, just north of us, because, I maybe that's something we wouldn't mind being involved in. We're not part of the county, obviously, but because we're standalone, but I'd be interested just to hear about what you're doing. So maybe you and I can connect at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. And just on that note, that we do have what we call a community of practice. And that's a Facebook page. So you just look up First Nation Municipal Collaboration Network. And that's where we'd love you folks to post what you're doing and put your questions out there, because that's a forum for others doing this kind of work. We have over 300 members, and we really wanted that to be a place where people can exchange. I mean, you're having a great time, a great chance here to see who else is interested in First Nation Municipal Collaboration. But the Facebook forum is the place to continue these kind of conversations. So please sign on. If you go to the end of our CEDI webpage, you'll see a place where you can join the Facebook page and also get on the newsletter as well. So
Okay,
back over to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Back over to you, Marissa.
Great. Well, we'll sort of just take a last call for any hands up or questions in the chat. Otherwise, as I say, we are very much available for any questions that you have.